Welcome to the virtual art room. I'm going to show you how to make a pastel avocado. Let me flip my camera over. All right, so I made this with my middle school students today, and the goal of making this avocado is understanding how to use your oil pastels. We had a basic Crayola oil pastel set, and we started in our sketchbooks just to play out how do we blend these? How are we figuring out where the light direction is coming from? In this case, it's coming from here. And then our shadows and our highlights are in the right places. So we figured all of that out together. I'm going to show you guys how. Open up to a blank page in my sketchbook. And first thing I want to do is, you can do this with pencil or with your oil pastels. I'm going to lay out the oil pastels I'm going to be using. Now, mine are a little bit old, but I want my light green, my dark green. I want some brown. I also want to use blue, black, white, and can't tell. No, that's a little too dark. And I want to use some red and yellow. So let me find my yellow. Should be around here because I just used it. No, that's not it. Here we go. Well, this can be a yellow. Usually the yellow I use is a little bit brighter. My art room is a little crazy right now. So at some point I will find this and then we'll pick up from there. But I want to start off with the general shape of your avocado. I'm going to use my light green to do that. So with my students, we decided that it was better to start off with a circle and then build up the top part of the avocado after that. So I'm going to kind of start off with a very light circle. And then after that circle, I'm just going to give myself a curve above that circle. And I'm going to bring those lines down to the side to kind of give that general shape. Now, some people might want this avocado to be a little bit curvier. And in that case, you can just bring it out a little bit to give it that little curve. So let's just pretend this is a Hass avocado. And in the center, I want to make space for my seed because all avocados have seeds. So I'm going to give myself a circle. Okay. Right now, it kind of looks like a funny guy with a beard. But we're going to turn this into a really fun and really realistic looking avocado. All right. Our next step. Our next step is we are going to take our dark green. So I'm going to grab my dark green and I'm going to go ahead and outline the center and the outside of my avocado with that dark green. So I'm going to come in, just outline, nice thick outline with my oil pastels. Now you can do this with chalk pastels, but that would be a little bit of a different process because you would be having to add, it's okay if you go outside the line a little bit, you'd be having to add some oil. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing here around my circle with my dark green. Okay, next thing I want to do is add some yellow. And here's my light yellow, which is what I was looking for earlier. And with my light yellow, I want to come around my circle and kind of make a mini avocado inside. And it can be loose. It doesn't have to be a crazy amount. But we want that in there. And then what we want to do is we want to take our light green and start from the edge of our avocado. And from that dark green to the center, we're just going to blend in up to that seed. Now what that's going to do is that's going to give really creamy texture that avocados naturally have. And there's going to be some yellow in there. You'll see this come to life as we're working on this. Generally, this can be done pretty quickly. That's what I love about pastels. And the cool thing about pastels also is you work in layers, kind of like with watercolors. which makes it really fun. All right, so we have our general texture for our avocado here. Now, the next thing that we want to do is decide where our light's coming from. For this example, instead of making the light coming from this side, I might do it from this side. So I'm just going to give myself a little arrow so that you can see where my light's going to be coming from. So I've got light coming from here, which means I'm going to have a shadow on this side of my seed. So I'm going to come in with my dark green and just kind of follow that shape of my seed. Give myself a shadow there with that green. Now we're going to darken the shadow in a little bit, but that'll be next. All right, next thing I want to do is think of my seed. So I'm going to come in with black on the bottom side where the shadow is. I'm going to come in with red on the top side. And I know that sounds really weird, but as I was looking as an avocado seed, there's lots of colors within that seed. And it's got a lot of texture. So I came in with red there, yellow in the center. Next thing I want to do is I want to grab my brown and I want to come in from the center and in circular motions, kind of follow the shape of my seed all the way up to the edge. So I want to be blending over that red and that black. And I want to make sure that I have that shape of my avocado there. And if I have to come in over that yellow a little bit more, I will. Okay, so there's my seed. Now, I want to come in with some black. 1 for the peel, 2 for the shadow. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to outline my avocado one more time, but this time with black. Then I want to go over my shadow one more time, but this time with black. And I want to take my dark green and I want to go over that black line just to kind of soften it a little bit. That looks really good. Okay, and then with the shadow area, you also want to come in with that green. Kind of soften that shadow just a little bit with your dark green. Okay, now, once we have that done, we want to think about shadows. I mean, not shadows. We want to think about highlights. Now, my pastel's dirty. My white pastel's a little bit dirty, so I'm just going to clean that off. You can, if you're using pastels and you ever run into this, you can just take a little Post-it note, just kind of rub the pastel on there, to kind of get some of that other colors off. Okay, so my light source is coming from this side, so I want to make sure that I give myself highlights that make sense. So first, I want to outline my seed. It's going to give it a little pop. So I'll lightly do this with my white. It's going to get that reflected light on the shadow side. That's really going to make this look more three-dimensional. Then I'm going to use the same white, come in a little bit harder to give myself a line that follows the seed. And I'll put a little bit on top here as well, on the very top of my seed. Okay, very subtle, but makes it look so realistic. I'm coming in with my white one more time around my whole avocado on top of that black and green, and also on this side just a little bit. Whoops, just a little bit with my white. I'm going to come in to kind of follow the shape here. Just a very small amount. Made a little mistake here, so I'm going to try to blend it with my light green. Okay. So again, with the white, I'm coming in and kind of just following a little bit on this side. Okay. Those little things that give texture make that avocado come to life even more. Here I'm seeing a little bit of white, so I'm just going to come in, kind of covering that up. All right, so now this is just an example, but let's say my avocado was on a tile. Let's let's just say it's on a blue tile. So I'm going to come in with some blue. This is just for my example. If I were doing a whole still life, I would make sure that I knew what that surface was. Okay. And then let's just say that this avocado's got some tiling in the back. So I'm going to put a tile division here, here, down here, and over here. I'm going to put a little bit of black in here too, just so that when I blend these, I'll put a little bit of white too on the outside. Okay, so I'm thinking of where my light's coming from. It's coming from the right. So let me follow the shape of my avocado and give myself a nice good shadow. Inside that shadow, I'm coming in with black. And it's okay if the black is messy because we're about to shade in to our background and that'll blend into it. Okay. I'm going to grab my blue. I'm going to start from the bottom. And I'm going to blend into that shadow. And what that's going to do for me is it's going to soften that black. It's going to make a beautiful shadow with pastel. I'm going to follow the shape of the shadow actually, and then come in back to this side. You can do this in different directions to give it some cool textures. For the actual grout lines, you're going to want to go in the direction of that grout line, though, so that it doesn't look like it's going sideways. So I'm going to come in. I want to make sure that that shadow is nice and blended. All right, on the front side, this is optional, but you can come in with just some white to kind of make sure that this is the lightest part. And then as you're coming in to blend, it'll just be a tad bit lighter on this side than on the shadow side. This is something you could easily do with your middle schoolers, and they can learn about the medium and also practice making things look realistic. This is where they can figure out whether or not they like oil pastel. So it's a quick kind of sketch that you can make. You can always come back in, kind of redefine these grout lines if you need to. Go over them with blue if you need to again too. And in each of these tiles, you can come in with some white. Right, so there you have it. You have your realistic avocado. There's a few things you could do if you see that you want to give a little bit more. So you could always come back in with that white, especially on the side where the highlight is. Kind of redefine that edge. And then on this side in the shadow, you can also redefine that edge because it starts to look like the reflected light. I'm going to come in with some blue here because I got a little bit too much white. And there you have it, a realistic avocado made with oil pastels, perfect for middle school. I've done this with elementary, and they still do great. So if you want to try it with your elementary kiddos, go for it. And if you like what you saw, keep following, subscribe, follow, give me a thumbs up. See you guys later.